During Thanksgiving dinner, my daughter-in-law leaned over and whispered, "Buy me $1 million villa, or I'll say I'm pregnant with your child. Your son will hate you forever." I calmly got up and did something. 5 minutes later, my son looked at her and said coldly, "We're getting divorced." You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The phone rang while I was loading the dishwasher. Thursday evening, nothing special, just another quiet night in my Phoenix house. I dried my hands on the towel and picked up. "Dad, you sitting down? Agnes is pregnant. 6 weeks along. You're going to be a grandfather." Joel's voice cracked with excitement, and I felt something warm spread through my chest. A grandfather? My Linda would have cried happy tears. "Joel, that's wonderful. Your mother would be so happy." "When did you find out?" "Just yesterday. We wanted to tell you first before anyone else." We talked for 20 minutes. He sounded like the boy who'd brought me drawings from kindergarten, eager and proud. When I hung up, I stood in my kitchen looking at the photos on the refrigerator. Joel at 8, missing his front teeth. Joel at 18, heading to college. Now Joel at 36, about to be a father himself. I called him back within the hour. "Come to dinner Saturday. I'll cook. We'll celebrate properly." 2 days gave me time to prepare. I drove to the specialty grocery store Saturday morning, the one that stocks the good olive oil Joel loves. I picked up ingredients for roasted chicken with herbs, the jalapeno, cornbread he'd always requested as a kid, roasted vegetables, and a chocolate cake from the bakery Linda used to favor. I selected a California red wine, something appropriate for celebration. At home, I dusted the dining room table I rarely used anymore, set out the good plates, the ones with the blue rim. I arranged photos on the mantel, baby Joel in the bath, toddler Joel on his first tricycle. The house smelled like rosemary and garlic by the time 6 o'clock arrived. Their car pulled into my driveway exactly on time. Joel drove a sensible Honda, 3 years old, well-maintained. They climbed out together, Agnes in a flowing dress that didn't yet show anything, Joel in slacks and a button-down shirt. He hugged me hard at the door. "Thanks for this, Dad. It means everything." Agnes kissed my cheek, her perfume expensive and strong. "Neil, you didn't have to go to all this trouble." "Nonsense. My first grandchild deserves a proper celebration." We settled in the living room first. Glasses of wine for Joel and me, sparkling water for Agnes. She perched on the edge of the sofa, one hand resting on her flat stomach. The gesture looked practiced, almost theatrical. "How are you feeling?" I asked her. "Oh, you know, tired, emotional. Everything smells different now." Joel reached over and squeezed her hand. He looked tired too, shadows under his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Dinner started well enough. I brought out the chicken, golden and fragrant, surrounded by roasted carrots and potatoes. Joel praised it immediately, loading his plate. Agnes wrinkled her nose. "Neil, this chicken smells so strong. Could you open a window?" She pushed her plate slightly away, the chicken untouched. "Of course. I thought it was your favorite." I opened the kitchen window, letting in the November evening air. When I returned, Agnes had pulled jalapeno, cornbread, toward her and was cutting herself a large slice. "Oh, I'm craving spicy things constantly. That's pregnancy for you." She ate 3 pieces, each bite enthusiastic. Then she poured herself coffee from the carafe I'd prepared. "Decaf?" she asked. "Regular, actually. I can make decaf." "No, this is fine. My doctor says a little caffeine won't hurt." She drank 2 cups while we ate. I'm not a medical professional, but I'd read enough to know pregnant women typically avoided caffeine and spicy foods when they were nauseous, and they were supposed to be nauseous. "Have you had morning sickness?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. Agnes dabbed her mouth with her napkin. "Not really. I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess. Just some food aversions." She loaded more cornbread onto her plate. During dessert, Agnes pulled out her phone. She swiped through photos, then turned the screen toward me. "Look at these nursery ideas. Aren't they beautiful?" I saw pastel walls, expensive-looking cribs, elaborate mobiles. Price tags were visible in some screenshots. $200 for a crib, $800 for a glider chair. "Very nice," I said carefully. She swiped again, showing me photos of their apartment. 2 bedrooms, modest but clean. She zoomed in on the second bedroom, currently set up as an office. It's barely 900 square feet. Where will the nursery go? Where will you stay when you visit your grandchild? Joel shifted in his chair. Agnes, we talked about this. We can make it work. Real grandfathers make sure their grandchildren have proper homes. The phrase landed awkwardly. I saw Joel touch her arm gently, a warning gesture she ignored. Well, babies don't need much space initially. You have time to figure things out. Agnes's smile tightened. Time? Children from good families grow up in houses, Neil, with yards. Don't you want the best for your grandchild? Of course I do. But I'm sure you two will make whatever space you have wonderful. We've been looking at places in Scottsdale. 3 bedrooms, proper yards, good school districts. She swiped through real estate listings now, showing me houses with price tags between 6 and 800,000. Joel stared at his cake, fork motionless. Those are beautiful homes, I said, but that's a significant investment. Family takes care of family, right? She said it lightly, but her eyes stayed fixed on mine. I'd seen that look before in my firefighting days, when someone was trying to convince me a situation wasn't as dangerous as I knew it was. Of course, family helps family, within reason. Agnes set her phone down with a deliberate click. Reasonable. Right. The conversation shifted to safer topics after that. Joel's work at the dealership, my retirement routines. But Agnes had become quieter, her hand moving to her stomach periodically in that rehearsed gesture. Joel kept glancing between us, anxious. When Agnes excused herself to use the bathroom, Joel leaned toward me. Sorry about the house talk, Dad. Hormones have her all over the place. She doesn't mean to be pushy. It's natural to worry about space. But Joel, are you two doing okay financially? He hesitated, twisting his wedding ring. We're managing. Don't worry about us. If you need help, reasonable help, you know I'm here. I know, Dad. Thanks. Agnes returned, and they gathered their things to leave. At the door, she hugged me, pressing close for a moment. Thank you for dinner. We're so lucky to have you. Family takes care of family, right? We're counting on you. Her voice was warm, but I felt the expectation underneath it, heavy and insistent. Of course. Let me know if you need anything reasonable. She pulled back, and that smile appeared again, tight at the edges. Reasonable. Right. I watched them walk to their car. Joel's shoulders were hunched, hands in his pockets. Agnes walked ahead of him, her posture straight, confident. They drove away, and I stood at my closed front door with my hand still on the doorknob. Their taillights disappeared down my street. My phone sat on the hall table, silent but somehow ominous. I didn't know then that soon would mean the very next morning. The next morning, my phone rang before I'd finished my first cup of coffee. I was standing at my kitchen counter, watching a cardinal at the feeder outside my window, when Agnes's name appeared on the screen. Neil, good morning. I hope I'm not calling too early. I need to ask you something about the baby. Of course, Agnes. What do you need? My doctor prescribed these special prenatal vitamins. They're $300 a month, and our insurance doesn't cover them. Joel's stressed about money, and I didn't want to worry him. Could you... I set my coffee down, watching the cardinal fly away. $300 for vitamins? For your grandchild's health, Neil. The regular ones aren't good enough. Something in her voice, that same insistent certainty from dinner, made me pause. But what kind of grandfather refuses vitamins for his grandchild? All right, I'll send it to you. Oh, thank you. I'll text you my payment app information. The text arrived within seconds. I transferred $300 while standing in my kitchen, staring at the confirmation screen longer than necessary. 2 days later, she called again. Tuesday afternoon while I was reading the newspaper. Neil, I hate to bother you again, but my doctor recommended these prenatal massages. They're supposed to help with circulation and stress. $450 for a package of 3 sessions. I sent the money. Thursday morning. These maternity clothes are so expensive, but I need professional things for work. Just $800. Joel doesn't need to know. I sent the money. Friday evening. Special pregnancy pillow. My back is killing me. $220. I sent the money. By the following Tuesday, I'd transferred over $1,500 in 1 week, and I'd noticed something. Joel hadn't called once. Only Agnes. Always Agnes, with her carefully worded requests and her gentle reminders about family obligations. That Wednesday afternoon, a car pulled into my driveway. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through my front window, I saw Agnes climb out alone, carrying multiple shopping bags. Nordstrom, Saks, Fifth Avenue. She wore new clothes, tags still visible on the sleeve of her jacket. I opened the door before she knocked. Agnes, this is a surprise. Joel's at work. I was nearby and thought we could talk. She walked past me into my entryway, setting down the shopping bags with casual ease. No fatigue, no difficulty carrying them. She lifted them like they weighed nothing. Coffee? I offered. That would be wonderful. In my kitchen, she settled at the table while I poured 2 cups. Regular coffee, not decaf. She drank it without hesitation, without asking. I wanted to discuss something important, she began, pulling out her tablet. We've been seriously looking at houses. For the baby. She turned the screen toward me, swiping through listings with practiced efficiency. Scottsdale properties. Every one of them. Asking prices ranging from $650,000 to $850,000. Look at these, Neil. Beautiful neighborhoods. This one is $650,000. This one is $800,000. Perfect for raising a child. Agnes, those are significant amounts. Joel makes $68,000 a year. The mortgage alone would be... Children from good families grow up in houses, not apartments. Don't you want your grandchild to have the best? Real grandfathers help. They invest in their grandchildren's futures. She said it like she was explaining something obvious to someone slow to understand. Her finger kept swiping, showing me 3-bedroom colonials, ranch houses with pools, modern builds with mountain views. I think we should slow down and discuss this with Joel. Joel wants this too. He's just too proud to ask you. I watched her face, looking for doubt or uncertainty. Found none. She believed she was entitled to this, that I should simply agree and produce $800,000, because she'd declared it necessary. Agnes, I need to be honest. This feels premature. You're only 6 weeks along. There's plenty of time to plan. Her expression changed instantly. The warmth vanished, replaced by something cold and sharp. Premature? Planning for our child is premature? Maybe I misunderstood what kind of grandfather you'd be. That's not what I meant. Forget it, Neil. We'll figure it out ourselves. Clearly, family doesn't mean what I thought it did. She stood abruptly, snatching her tablet from the table. She grabbed her shopping bags, lifting them easily, no struggle despite their obvious weight, and headed for the door. Agnes, wait! No, you've made your position clear. We won't bother you anymore. She walked out, leaving my front door open behind her. I heard her car start, watched her reverse out of my driveway too fast. 20 minutes of silence followed. I sat in my living room, trying to process what had just happened. Then another car arrived. Joel's Honda. He climbed out, looking rumpled. His tie loosened, circles under his eyes darker than I'd ever seen them. He knocked once before opening the door. Dad? Come in, Joel. He sat heavily in my armchair, put his head in his hands. I waited. Dad, I'm sorry. She told me she was coming to ask advice about nursery colors. I didn't know she'd bring up houses. Joel, is everything okay with you two? Financially, I mean. These requests? We're fine. The pregnancy has her worried about providing. That's all. Hormones make women focus on nesting. My buddy at work says his wife was the same way. This seems like more than nesting. $800,000 for a house? He looked up, defensive now. She's just dreaming, Dad. Looking at possibilities. She doesn't actually expect you to buy us a house. But I'd seen her face. I'd heard her voice. She absolutely expected it. Joel, has Agnes asked you for money lately? For pregnancy expenses? Some. Vitamins, a few things. Normal stuff. Why? He didn't know. She'd been calling me, extracting money, and he had no idea. I made a decision then not to tell him the full amount. Not yet. Just wondering. I want to help, but I want to make sure I'm helping both of you, not just... We're a team, Dad. Whatever helps Agnes helps me. Helps our baby. He stood, already moving toward the door, always leaving when questions got uncomfortable. I should go? Agnes is upset, and I need to calm her down. Does she get upset often? He paused, hand on the doorknob, and I saw something flicker across his face. Exhaustion. Maybe something else. Only when she's worried about the baby. It'll get better after the first trimester. He left. I watched his taillights disappear the same way they had after dinner. My living room felt too quiet. Then I noticed something on my coffee table. Agnes's tablet, forgotten in her dramatic exit. I picked it up. The screen lit automatically, showing her browser still open. Real estate listings, yes. But underneath, in her recently viewed tabs, luxury car dealerships, Mercedes and BMW models in the $100,000 range, vacation resorts in Cabo San Lucas, designer furniture stores, jewelry websites showing diamond bracelets. I set the tablet down like it had burned my hand. Something was very wrong here, and I needed to find out what. I set the tablet down and made a decision. I needed to know the truth, whatever it cost me. The screen stayed lit for another 30 seconds before going dark. I pressed the home button and swiped through Agnes's browser history methodically, the way I'd once checked equipment before entering a burning structure. Everything had to be documented. Everything had to be verified. The searches were dated. Pregnancy symptoms to fake. 3 weeks ago. When to tell family about pregnancy? 2 weeks ago. Luxury homes, Scottsdale. Yesterday. She'd been planning this from the beginning. I took out my phone and photographed each screen. The timestamp feature activated automatically. Evidence, my training whispered. Always preserve evidence. Shopping carts filled with designer furniture. Saved listings for Mercedes sedans. Resort bookings in Cabo San Lucas. A diamond tennis bracelet worth $12,000 in a favorites folder. My hands stayed steady as I documented each one. The next afternoon, I drove to Scottsdale Fashion Square to return a shirt I'd bought the week before. Simple errand, nothing unusual. I was crossing the courtyard near Nordstrom when I saw her. Agnes, carrying 4 shopping bags, 2 in each hand, swinging them as she walked. She wore tight jeans and a fitted top that showed her completely flat stomach. Her friend walked beside her, and Agnes was laughing, that loud, carefree laugh I'd heard at dinner. She gestured dramatically, the heavy bags barely slowing her down. I stepped behind a column and took out my phone. 3 photos, clear and sharp. Agnes lifting bags with both hands. Agnes gesturing wildly with loaded arms. Agnes entering the bar near the fountain, her friend following. Through the window, I watched them settle at a table. The server brought drinks. Agnes raised a glass. Dark liquid, definitely not water or juice. They toasted. I took one more photo of the bar's entrance, showing the name clearly. Then I walked to my truck and sat there for 10 minutes, looking at the images on my phone screen. That evening, alone in my living room, I pulled up old photos. Joel's wedding, 3 years ago. He'd dated Agnes for 5 months before proposing. I remembered the conversation we'd had, just Joel and me, 2 weeks before the ceremony. Dad, I know 5 months seems fast, but when you know, you know. Agnes is everything I've been looking for. I just want you to be certain. Marriage is serious, son. Take your time. His face had changed then, closing off. You don't trust my judgment? I thought you'd be happy for me. I am happy for you. I just want you to be sure. But he'd married her anyway, and I'd stood in the receiving line forcing smiles, while my instincts screamed warnings I couldn't articulate. He'd been defensive even then, like he knew something was off but couldn't admit it. I opened a notepad and started writing. Every inconsistency, every red flag, everything that didn't fit. 1. Drinks coffee. Regular, not decaf. 2. Eats spicy food while claiming nausea. 3. No morning sickness mentioned. 4. No ultrasound photos shared. 5. No doctor appointments discussed. 6. Lifts heavy objects easily. 7. Wears tight, non-maternity clothes. 8. Immediate focus on money, never on baby. 9. Shops for luxury items while claiming financial stress. 10. Drinks, alcohol in public. 11. No hand-to-stomach protective gestures. 12. High-intensity exercise. 13. No pregnancy glow or physical changes. 14. Never invited Neil to appointments. 15. Only discusses costs. Never nursery themes or baby names. The list reached 15 items before I stopped. The pattern was undeniable. The next morning, I drove downtown to meet Thomas Ryder. His law office occupied the 14th floor of a high-rise with views of the Phoenix skyline. The receptionist showed me to a conference room where Ryder waited, mid-50s, graying at the temples, expensive suit. We shook hands, and I sat across from his polished desk. Hypothetically, if someone made false accusations against me, serious ones that could destroy my relationship with my son, what protection do I have? Ryder leaned back, fingers steepled. In Arizona, defamation requires proving the statement was false and caused damages. False accusations of criminal behavior are particularly serious. What kind of accusations concern you? The kind that would make my son never speak to me again? The kind that would be my word against theirs? Document everything. Arizona is a one-party consent state for recordings. If you're part of a conversation, you can legally record it. Keep records of all financial transactions. If accusations do come, you'll need evidence. I nodded, absorbing this. What about medical records? Can someone claim pregnancy without medical proof? Legally, pregnancy status can be verified through medical records, but those are private. However, insurance claims, pharmacy records, and doctor appointments create paper trails. Their absence can be significant. We talked for 50 minutes. I paid him $350 by check and left with a business card and clear instructions. Document, record, preserve evidence. That evening, my phone rang. Joel. Hey, Dad. Agnes mentioned she left her tablet at your place. Have you seen it? I have it. I'll drop it off tomorrow. Actually, could you bring it by tonight? She needs it for something important. I paused, choosing words carefully. How's she feeling? The pregnancy going okay? Yeah, fine. Tired a lot. You know how it is. Has she had her next doctor appointment yet? A slight hesitation. It's next week, I think. Listen, about the tablet. I'll bring it over within the hour. But 40 minutes later, I sat in my truck outside Joel's apartment building with the tablet in a bag on the passenger seat. Through the second-floor window, I could see shadows moving, Joel and Agnes, probably wondering where I was. Returning the tablet would put them on guard, make them more careful. Before I could deliver it, I needed more concrete proof. I started the engine and drove past the apartment building without stopping. The tablet could wait. First, I needed to hire someone who specialized in finding the truth. The next morning, I found Marcus Gray through a simple online search for private investigators in Phoenix. His website was plain, professional, no dramatic promises. Former Phoenix PD detective, 20 years experience. That was enough. We met at a coffee shop in Central Phoenix, a small place with wooden tables and minimal crowd. Marcus was 52, according to his site, fit, with observant eyes that cataloged everything. I'd brought a folder, the mall photos, tablet screenshots, my handwritten timeline. I slid it across the table. Let me be direct, Mr. Murphy. You want me to prove your daughter-in-law isn't pregnant? That's unusual, but not impossible. I want you to document her actual behavior, where she goes, what she does, and verify whether medical records show prenatal care. Marcus flipped through my documentation, nodding slowly. Medical records are protected. I can't hack into systems or bribe staff. I'm not asking you to break laws. Public clinic appointment databases, insurance claim verifications, those have legal channels, correct? Correct. I have contacts in insurance who can verify whether claims were filed. No details, just yes or no. That work? That works. How long? 1 week of surveillance should give us a clear picture. $2,500 upfront covers my time, equipment, and report preparation. I wrote the check without hesitation. My hand didn't shake. The waiting was harder than I expected. I went through my normal routines, grocery shopping, yard work, reading, while my phone became an extension of my hand. Marcus sent updates as text messages with attachments. Day 1. Subject at Lifetime Fitness. Scottsdale location. Heavy leg press. 180 lobbies. Running 6 miles on treadmill. No physical restrictions evident. Photos attached. I opened the images. Agnes in workout gear, her stomach flat and toned in fitted athletic wear. She was using a leg press machine with 8 45-pound plates visible. The treadmill display showed her speed and incline. A pregnant woman couldn't do that. Day 2. Subject observed at 3 locations. Lunch at True Food Kitchen. Shopping at Kierland Commons. Evening at Postino Wine Cafe. Video attached. The video showed Agnes and another woman at Postino's patio. The server brought drinks. Agnes raised a wine glass, clearly red wine, and took a long drink. Day 3. Subject at Pure Bar, Scottsdale. 60-minute class. Full participation, including core work. Video documentation complete. I saved each file to a password-protected folder on my computer, labeled Evidence. Day 4. Subject shopping, Scottsdale Fashion Square. Purchased items from 3 stores. Carried multiple heavy bags unassisted. Wore fitted clothing, no maternity wear. Day 5. Medical verification complete. No OB/GYN visits in system. No pregnancy-related insurance claims filed. Documentation attached. That afternoon, I finally drove to Joel's apartment to return Agnes's tablet. I'd made excuses all week, busy schedule, feeling under the weather, but I couldn't delay any longer without raising suspicion. I parked in the lot below their building. Their balcony door was open, the screen letting evening air into their apartment. Then I heard Agnes's voice, clear and carrying in the quiet. She was on the phone, standing at the balcony railing. I took out my phone, opened the voice recorder app, writer's advice echoing in my mind, and pressed record. "I'm telling you, Sarah, the old man is totally buying it. He's already given us over $1,500 for random stuff." I sat frozen, phone recording. "Joel, he doesn't know the half of it. He thinks I'm just being enthusiastic about the baby. He has no idea I'm working his dad for the down payment." Her laugh was light, amused. "Another week, maybe 2. I'll push harder at Thanksgiving. Family guilt works wonders. By Christmas, we'll have the house commitment." More laughter. "Please, like I'd actually have a baby right now. This body took too much work to ruin with pregnancy, but Neil doesn't need to know that until after we get what we need." I stopped the recording. 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Every word documented. I set the tablet on their doorstep, knocked once, and walked away before anyone answered. That evening, Marcus delivered everything to my house. 43 photographs, 12 video clips, medical verification from 3 sources, insurance confirmation, timeline documentation. He spread it across my kitchen table. "Everything's documented here. This is comprehensive. Will this hold up if needed legally? Every photo is time-stamped and geotagged. Video has metadata. Medical verification came through official channels. Insurance confirmation is from a licensed agent. Yes, it'll hold up. And the timeline you created? 5 days of documented behavior inconsistent with pregnancy, intense exercise, alcohol consumption, no medical care, no physical symptoms. Combined with the absence of any medical paper trail, the conclusion is clear. Thank you, Marcus. This is exactly what I needed." After he left, I sat alone reviewing everything. Photos in one pile, medical documentation in another, timeline in the center. I added my recording of Agnes's phone conversation. The audio file played on my computer, her voice clear and unmistakable, like I'd actually have a baby right now. 35 years as a firefighter taught me one critical lesson. Emotion gets people killed. You assess the situation, you make a plan, you execute with precision. This was no different. Agnes had made a miscalculation. She thought I was a soft target, an old man too desperate for a grandchild to question anything. She was wrong. I placed everything in my safe, spinning the combination lock until it clicked. Thanksgiving was in 10 days. Agnes had mentioned twice that she expected me to host. Family tradition, she'd called it. I'd agreed. Perfect. I picked up my phone and texted Agnes, "Looking forward to Thanksgiving dinner. I have something special planned." Her response came within seconds. A smiley face emoji and "can't wait." She had no idea how special it would be. The 10 days before Thanksgiving passed in careful preparation. I cooked, I cleaned, and I rehearsed. The digital recorder sat on my kitchen counter, small and unassuming. I tested it 3 times to ensure the battery would last through an entire evening. Everything had to be perfect. I prepared a traditional meal, turkey with herb butter, cornbread stuffing, roasted Brussels sprouts, cranberry sauce from scratch, pumpkin pie with whipped cream. I set the dining table with Linda's good china, the pieces with the delicate blue flowers she'd loved. The evidence folder waited in my study, organized chronologically. Thanksgiving arrived clear and warm. Typical Phoenix November weather. Joel and Agnes pulled into my driveway at 5 o'clock exactly. I watched from the window as Joel helped Agnes from the car, his hand solicitous at her elbow. She wore a flowing dress that could suggest pregnancy to someone who wanted to see it. I patted my shirt pocket once, feeling the recorder's weight, then opened the door. "Happy Thanksgiving." Joel hugged me, and Agnes kissed my cheek. She carried a bottle of sparkling cider and a store-bought pie. "Something smells amazing," Joel said. We settled into the familiar rhythm of family dinner. I carved the turkey while Joel poured drinks. Wine for us, cider for Agnes. She sat carefully, one hand resting on her stomach in that practiced gesture I now recognized as performance. "Neil, this turkey is perfect. You'll have to teach me your recipe for when we're cooking family dinners in our new place." Family recipes are meant to be shared, though they take practice. Dad's been cooking this meal for 30 years, right, Dad? 35. Your mother and I started hosting Thanksgiving the year we got married. Agnes smiled, touching her stomach again. "I hope our baby loves family traditions as much as Joel does." The conversation flowed easily. Joel talked about work, a big sale he'd closed, a difficult customer who finally came around. Agnes described nursery color schemes she'd been considering. Soft yellows, she thought. Gender neutral until they knew for sure. I passed dishes and nodded and maintained the FA aid while the recorder in my pocket captured every word. After dinner, while I was clearing plates, Joel's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and grimaced. "Work. Emergency customer issue. Give me 10 minutes." He stepped out onto the patio, sliding the glass door partially closed behind him. Through the window, I watched him pace, phone pressed to his ear. Agnes helped me carry dishes to the kitchen, or pretended to help. She set down her load immediately and checked over her shoulder. Joel was still outside, gesturing as he talked. She turned to me, the warmth drained from her face like water from a tub. What remained was cold and sharp. "Listen carefully, Neil." Her voice dropped to a whisper, but clear, direct. The recorder would catch every syllable. "You're going to buy me a villa in Scottsdale. $1 million. You'll take a loan against this house. The paperwork will be ready by next week." I continued wiping a dish, my movements steady. "And if I refuse? Then I'll tell Joel and everyone else that you've been forcing yourself on me for months, that you cornered me, touched me, made disgusting suggestions. I'll say the baby might be yours. Your son will hate you forever. Your reputation will be destroyed. You'll die alone and despised." She stepped closer, her eyes locked on mine. "It's your word against mine. Who do you think Joel will believe? His father or his pregnant wife? Choose carefully, old man." I set down the dish, reached into my pocket slowly. My hand closed around the recorder. "Agnes, did you know Arizona is a one-party consent state for recordings?" "What?" I held up the device, its red light visible. "It means if I'm part of a conversation, I can legally record it. I'm that one party. And this has been recording since before you arrived tonight." Her face paled, actually drained of color, like blood retreating. "You're bluffing. Let me play it back for you." I pressed rewind, then play. Her voice emerged clear and damning. "You're going to buy me a villa in Scottsdale. $1 million. I stopped it. "Would you like to hear the rest? The part where you threatened to falsely accuse me of assault?" She backed away, shaking her head. "You can't. That's not... Joel won't believe." "Let's ask him. But first, let me show you something else." I walked to my study, Agnes following at a distance. The folder sat exactly where I'd left it. I carried it back to the kitchen and spread its contents across the counter. "These are from Lifetime Fitness, dated across 5 days last week. Notice the weights? 180 pounds on the leg press, 6 miles per hour on the treadmill." Agnes stood frozen, silent. "This is from Pastino Wine Cafe. That's you drinking alcohol. This video is time-stamped." I laid out another document. "This is medical verification from 3 Phoenix clinics. No OB/GYN appointments. None. This is insurance confirmation. 0 pregnancy-related claims filed." Photo after photo. Document after document. Each one another nail in the coffin of her deception. There is no baby. There never was. Just a scheme to extort money from a man who wanted to be a grandfather. The patio door slid open. Joel stepped inside, tucking his phone away. "Sorry about that. Customer thought his car was..." He stopped. The tension in the kitchen was palpable. Agnes stood white-faced near the counter. I stood on the other side with evidence spread between us. "What's going on?" "Son, sit down. I need you to hear something." Joel's eyes moved from me to Agnes and back. He sat slowly at the kitchen table. I played the recording, all of it. Agnes's threat, clear and undeniable. Joel's face transformed as he listened, confusion melting into horror, horror hardening into something cold and final. When it ended, silence filled the kitchen. Agnes, tell me this is fake. Tell me he manufactured this somehow. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Joel, he's been harassing me for weeks. I was defending myself. Joel stood and picked up one of the gym photos. Are you pregnant? Yes or no? His voice was flat, empty. It's complicated. Yes or no. The silence stretched for 10 seconds. 15, 20. No. Joel set the photo down carefully. He pulled his car keys from his pocket. We're getting divorced. Agnes stood frozen, evidence scattered before her. Joel moved toward the door without looking back. He paused with his hand on the knob. Don't come home tonight. Find somewhere else to stay. The door closed behind him. Agnes whirled toward me, and for the first time I saw genuine fear beneath her rage. Her mouth opened, searching for words that might undo what had just happened. She found none. But I knew this wasn't over. People like Agnes don't surrender quietly. Agnes left my house 20 minutes after Joel. She didn't say another word, just gathered her purse and coat with shaking hands. But as she reached the door, she turned back with a look I recognized from 3 decades of firefighting. The look of someone who's decided to fight fire with fire. I locked the door behind her and waited for the blowback. It came faster than expected. At 10:15, my phone rang. Mark, Joel's cousin from Tucson. Neil, what did you do to Agnes? She just called me sobbing. She says you've been harassing her, that you recorded her without consent, that you're trying to turn Joel against her. I walked to my living room window, looking out at the empty street. Mark, I need you to come to Phoenix and see some documentation before you make judgments. She said you'd have fake evidence. She said you've been planning this because you never liked her. Did she tell you she's not actually pregnant? Did she tell you she threatened to accuse me of assaulting her unless I bought her $1 million house? Silence on the line. Then, that sounds insane, Neil. Why would she do that? Come see the evidence. Bring Patricia. I have video, photos, medical records, a private investigator's report, and a recording of her threatening me, all legally obtained. Mark promised to think about it. 3 more calls followed. Aunt Patricia, Joel's second cousin from Mesa, a family friend I'd known for 15 years. Agnes was working fast, spreading her version before Joel could counter with truth. I answered each call the same way. Come see the evidence. Judge for yourself. The next morning I woke to a text from Joel. Check Facebook. I'd never used social media. Creating an account took 15 minutes of frustration with passwords and profile setup. When I finally accessed Agnes's page, I understood why Joel had messaged. Her post was long, dramatic, carefully worded. When you stand up for yourself against toxic family members who weaponize lies against innocent women, you learn who your real friends are. Powerful men think they can silence victims with manufactured evidence and manipulation, but truth always comes out. To everyone supporting me through this nightmare, thank you. Your love means everything. No names, no specific accusations, just enough to seem like a victim's cry while avoiding legal liability. Dozens of comments followed, strangers offering sympathy and support. Several mutual acquaintances tagged Joel, asking if he was okay if Agnes needed help. I wanted to respond. To post the evidence publicly, let everyone see the truth. But Thomas Ryder's words echoed, never engage in public. Let your evidence speak in official channels. I closed the app and called Joel. 2 days after Thanksgiving, Joel showed up at my door with a duffel bag and circles under his eyes. She changed the locks, Dad. My own apartment. I had to talk to the landlord, who says legally I have to give her 30 days' notice even though she's not on the lease. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where evidence had been spread just days before. Can you afford a hotel for 30 days? Not really. Between the deposits on the apartment and the money I've been spending on her pregnancy items? Stay here. We'll figure this out together. Joel's hands wrapped around his coffee mug. I feel like an idiot. How did I not see it? The signs were all there. Love makes us want to believe the best in people. That's not stupidity. That's being human. 4 days after Thanksgiving, Joel received a letter from an attorney. Not a good attorney. The letterhead was cheap. The office address was in a strip mall. But it was legal correspondence demanding attention. The attorney threatened to sue Joel for emotional distress, defamation of character, and unlawful recording. The letter demanded $25,000 to settle this matter quietly and avoid protracted litigation. Joel brought it to me, hands shaking. Can she do this? Will we have to pay? We're seeing Ryder tomorrow. Don't panic. Thomas Ryder's office felt solid and reassuring after the flimsy threat letter. We sat across from his desk while he read Agnes's attorney's demands, occasionally making notes. This letter is almost entirely bluff. Unlawful recording. False. Arizona is one-party consent. Emotional distress. No grounds when she was committing extortion. Defamation. The truth is an absolute defense against defamation. So we ignore it? I asked. Absolutely not. We respond, but not with emotion. We respond with facts and legal consequences for her. Joel leaned forward. What about the Facebook post? People are believing her version. Public opinion isn't a court of law. Let her dig that hole. Every false statement she makes publicly strengthens our potential defamation case against her. Ryder drafted a cease and desist letter while we waited. It cited Arizona Revised Statute 13-3005 regarding one-party consent recording. It itemized each false statement Agnes had made. It demanded she cease all defamatory communications immediately. What if she ignores it? I asked. Then we have documented proof we warned her, which strengthens any future lawsuit. But most people, when faced with specific statutes and threat of legal action, back down, especially when they know they're lying. What about the divorce? How long will that take? Arizona requires 60 days minimum between filing and finalization. Given there are no children, minimal shared assets, and documented fraud, it should be straightforward. I can file the papers next week. Ryder's paralegal prepared the certified mail envelope. I watched it being sealed, labeled, processed. This was now officially a legal battle, not just a family dispute. That evening, Joel and I sat in my living room. He'd been staying with me for 3 days, sleeping in his old childhood bedroom. I thought I knew her. 3 years of marriage. How was all of that fake? Maybe it wasn't all fake. Maybe she convinced herself she loved you or could grow to love you. But somewhere, the money became more important than the person. The relatives who called, they think I'm abandoning a pregnant woman. They think you're some manipulative villain who turned me against my wife. Then we show them the truth, systematically. One family member at a time if necessary. Truth has weight. Lies eventually collapse under their own inconsistencies. Joel looked at me, exhausted but steadier than he'd been days before. When did you become so calm about all this? I'm not calm. I'm controlled. There's a difference. I learned it putting out fires. Panic spreads faster than flames. Control saves lives. The certified mail receipt arrived 3 days later. Green card signed and dated. Signed for by Agnes Murphy. I held it in my kitchen, knowing Agnes had now read Ryder's letter, with its specific legal statutes and consequences. She knew the recording was legal. She knew the evidence was real. She knew continuing to spread lies would result in her being sued. My phone rang. Mark, Joel's cousin. Neil, I got your message about coming to see the evidence. Patricia and I can drive up tomorrow. We need to see this for ourselves. The tide was beginning to turn. Mark and Patricia arrived at my house the next afternoon. I'd prepared the dining room like a courtroom, evidence folders organized chronologically, the digital recorder charged and ready, Marcus Gray's full report bound and tabbed. Joel sat beside me as I walked them through everything piece by piece. I started with the surveillance photos. Mark picked up the gym images as studying Agnes on the leg press, weight plates clearly visible. 180 pounds, I said. 6 miles per hour on the treadmill. 4 days after claiming to be pregnant. Patricia read the medical verification letter, her hand covering her mouth. No OB/GYN appointments anywhere in the Phoenix area. No insurance claims filed for prenatal care. Then I played the recording. Agnes's voice filled my dining room, clear and damning. You're going to buy me a villa in Scottsdale. $1 million. When it finished, silence hung heavy. Neil, I'm so sorry. Patricia's voice cracked. When Agnes called crying, I assumed she was the victim. She's very convincing. She convinced Joel for 3 years. Mark shook his head slowly, still holding the photos. This recording, she actually threatened to accuse you of assaulting her? Her own father-in-law? For $1 million house. People do terrible things for money. Patricia reached for her phone. I need to call the others. Linda, Stephen, your Uncle Robert. They all heard Agnes's version. They need to know the truth. Will they believe it? Joel asked quietly. Even with evidence? They'll believe it, Mark said. This isn't he said, she said. This is documented fact versus demonstrated lies. Within 2 days, the family narrative shifted decisively. Patricia called 6 relatives. Mark called 4 more. Each conversation started with, "You need to see what Neil has," and ended with apologies to me and Joel. 3 days after that meeting, Thomas Ryder filed Joel's divorce petition at Maricopa County Superior Court. We sat in his office while his paralegal assembled the documents. Arizona is community property, which typically means 50-50 division of marital assets. However, fraud invalidates that presumption. Agnes acquired nothing honestly during this marriage. Every request was based on a fabricated pregnancy. So she gets nothing? Joel asked. That's what we're arguing. The apartment is in your name only, leased before marriage. The car is yours. The furniture is yours. She has her personal items, and that's it. What about the money Dad gave her? The $1,500. That was given under false pretenses. Fraud. We could pursue restitution, but honestly, getting it back is unlikely and would cost more in legal fees than it's worth. I don't need the money back, I said. I need her out of Joel's life. Ryder charged $4,500 to handle the full proceedings. Joel paid from his savings, money he'd been setting aside for a house down payment with Agnes. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. The petition was thick with exhibits. Each piece of evidence I'd gathered became a numbered attachment. Exhibit A, surveillance photographs. Exhibit B, medical verification letters. Exhibit C, private investigator report. Exhibit D, digital recording of extortion threat. The process server delivered the papers to Joel's apartment at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Agnes signed for them. Her attorney, the cheap one, withdrew from her case 3 days later after reviewing the evidence. She found a divorce attorney willing to take her case for $3,000 up front. She didn't have it. She applied for a personal loan, 24% APR, and barely qualified. The debt began immediately, interest compounding daily. Meanwhile, Ryder filed a complaint with Facebook about her defamatory post. He attached evidence showing the statements were false, documented provably untrue. Within 48 hours, Agnes's phone displayed a notification. Your post has been removed for violating community standards. The post that had dozens of sympathetic comments that had made Joel and me look like villains simply vanished. 10 days after the divorce filing, Agnes lost her job. Miranda Chen, the salon owner, called her into the back office. Joel heard about it from Rachel, a stylist who still spoke to him. Miranda said she couldn't afford to have the salon associated with someone who fabricates pregnancies and threatens family members. Joel told me that evening. Someone posted the story in a Scottsdale beauty industry group. No names, but enough details that everyone figured it out. How did Miranda find out? The beauty community is small. Everyone knows everyone. Agnes cleaned out her station that afternoon. $42,000 a year, gone. Her professional reputation destroyed. Her daily structure eliminated. 12 days after filing, with proper legal notice served, and Agnes's attorney unable to contest it, she wasn't on the lease, had no legal right to the apartment. The eviction proceeded. The sheriff's deputy supervised as Agnes packed her belongings into her sedan. Joel wasn't there. He was at work, unable to watch. I offered to be present, but he declined. He needed that boundary. That evening he came home to my house, his temporary home, and sat heavily at the kitchen table. The deputy called. It's done. She took her stuff and left. Where'd she go? Her mother's place, I assume. That's what her attorney mentioned in the filing. How are you holding up? He was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, I feel empty. Like the last 3 years were just fiction. A performance I didn't know I was watching. Some of it was real. The early days before the money became her focus. You loved her, and maybe she loved you too before greed took over. That's generous of you, considering what she tried to do. I'm not being generous. I'm being realistic. People change, sometimes for the worse. 2 days after the eviction, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Murphy? This is Carol Walters, Agnes's mother. I need to talk to you about my daughter. I should have hung up. I'd done what I needed to do. Protected my son, exposed the truth, ensured justice. But something in her voice made me listen. Carol Walters spoke in a measured tone that reminded me of crisis negotiations from my firefighting days, someone trying desperately to hold things together. Mr. Murphy, I'm not calling to make excuses for Agnes. I saw what she did. I need you to understand she's not doing well. At all. I sat down at my kitchen table and listened. She moved into her old bedroom here in Levine. She barely leaves it, doesn't eat properly, cries frequently. Mrs. Walters, I appreciate you calling, but this isn't something I can help with. I know. I'm not asking you to. I raised her better than this. I don't know where it went wrong. The greed, the lies. That's not how I taught her to be. People make their own choices, regardless of how they're raised. She's talking about the job rejections, the friends who won't return calls. She says everyone in Phoenix knows. I saw those Facebook posts. Someone shared the whole story. Truth has a way of spreading, Mrs. Walters, especially when it's documented as thoroughly as this was. She thanked me for listening and hung up. I sat there for a minute, staring at my phone. That evening I told Joel about the call. His first instinct was concern. Then he caught himself. I watched him struggle with it, the man who'd loved Agnes warring with the man who'd seen her true nature. Do you think we should do anything? Reach out somehow. What would that accomplish? I don't know. She was my wife for 3 years. Part of me still... I don't know what I feel. You feel conflicted. That's normal. The woman you married and the woman who threatened your father are hard to reconcile because they seem like different people. Maybe they are different people. Maybe I never really knew her. Or maybe both versions were real at different times. People are complicated. But Joel, and hear me on this, her current situation is the direct result of her own actions. You didn't do this to her. She did it to herself. That same week, Agnes deleted all her social media accounts. Joel discovered it when he checked his phone one evening. Her Instagram's gone, Facebook profile deleted, even LinkedIn removed. He showed me the anonymous posts in local groups, Phoenix area community and Scottsdale moms. Someone, likely a distant relative Agnes had alienated, shared the full story. No names, but enough details that her friends recognized it immediately. The posts were viral within the community. Former friends unfollowed, blocked, distanced themselves. No one wanted to be associated with someone who'd faked pregnancy for money. Over the following 2 weeks, Agnes applied to 23 positions, administrative roles, retail, restaurants. Every employer Googled her name during the hiring process. Rachel texted me, Joel said one evening. Said Agnes applied at 3 other salons and got rejected from all of them. The owners all heard about what happened. The beauty industry in Scottsdale is tight-knit. Rachel said one owner told Agnes straight out, I Googled you. I can't have someone with your reputation representing my business. That's harsh, but understandable from a business perspective. Is it wrong that I don't feel bad about it? No. She tried to destroy your relationship with me, tried to extort $1 million, and was willing to falsely accuse me of assault. Feeling neutral about her job, troubles doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. Meanwhile, Joel and I fell into a routine. We cooked dinner together most nights, watched football on Sundays, talked about everything. The marriage, the warning signs he'd missed, how I'd always sensed something off. One evening, preparing my chili recipe, the one Joel's mother used to make, he brought it up again. I should have listened to you 3 years ago, when you said we were rushing into marriage. Joel, we're not doing this again. You've apologized enough. But you were right. 5 months wasn't enough time to really know someone. Maybe, or maybe she changed after marriage. People sometimes do. Listen, you made a mistake. We all make mistakes. The difference is you corrected course when you saw the truth. That takes strength. It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like failure. Then let me tell you what I see. A man who loved deeply, trusted completely, and when betrayed, had the courage to walk away. That's not failure. That's integrity. 4 weeks after filing, we met with Ryder to finalize the divorce papers. This is the property settlement agreement. Agnes receives no marital assets. She's responsible for her own debts, including the personal loan and attorney fees. You keep the apartment, your car, your savings. Any questions? She actually agreed to this? Joel asked. Her attorney advised her she had no choice. Fighting would only cost her more money she doesn't have and delay the inevitable. She signed yesterday, so it's really over. 60-day waiting period ends January 15th. After that, legally, yes, it's over. The judge will issue the final decree and you'll be officially divorced. And she can't come back later claiming we coerced her or something. Not with the evidence we have. This settlement is ironclad. She committed fraud. We documented it. She faced the consequences. Joel signed each page slowly. The pen scratched across signature lines. Every page represented the end of his marriage. Property division, debt responsibility, permanent separation. By mid-December, Joel was healing. Not healed, but healing. He smiled more, slept better, stopped apologizing for trusting his wife. 3 days before Christmas, he announced he'd found a new apartment. 1 bedroom in Tempe, closer to work, a fresh start. I helped him move on a Saturday morning. We carried boxes up the stairs, set up his furniture, hung pictures on bare walls. The apartment was small but bright, with a view of Tempe Town Lake from the balcony. As we set down the last box, Joel's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face paled. What is it? It's from Agnes's attorney. She wants to meet with me, in person. She says she has something important to tell me. Joel stared at his phone for a long moment, then handed it to me. The text from Agnes's attorney was brief. Client requests in-person meeting with Joel Murphy. She has a settlement proposal. Can meet at neutral location tomorrow. I set the phone down on Joel's new kitchen counter. This is your decision. But hear what Ryder has to say first. We met at Ryder's office the next morning. He slid a document across his desk. Agnes's formal settlement proposal. She wants $15,000. In exchange, she'll sign the divorce decree without contest and cease all defamatory statements. Joel picked up the paper, reading it twice. $15,000. That's less than I expected her to ask for. It's still extortion, just smaller. Ryder leaned back in his chair. Legally, it's a settlement offer, but Neil's right about the principle. She committed fraud, threatened you both, and lost. Now she wants payment to go away quietly. That's rewarding criminal behavior. But if it ends everything cleanly, Joel, she'll always come back for more, I said. Today it's $15,000. Next year she'll have a new crisis, a new excuse. You can't negotiate with someone who's proven they'll manipulate and lie. My professional advice? Reject the offer. We have overwhelming evidence. The court will rule in your favor regardless. Joel looked at me, then at Ryder, then back at the paper. Send the rejection. 2 weeks later, we sat in Maricopa County Superior Court for the final divorce hearing. The courtroom was formal, judge in robes, court reporter typing steadily, evidence folders stacked on the bench. Agnes sat across the aisle with her attorney. She looked diminished in thrift store clothes, no makeup, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Nothing like the woman who'd sat at my Thanksgiving table demanding $1 million house. The judge reviewed the evidence methodically. Ms. Murphy, I've reviewed the evidence submitted by petitioner's counsel. A voice recording dated November 28th, surveillance documentation from a licensed private investigator, medical verification from 3 healthcare facilities, and insurance records. Do you contest any of this evidence? Agnes's voice was barely audible. No, Your Honor. Do you wish to present any evidence or testimony in your own defense? Her attorney stood briefly. No, Your Honor. We have no evidence to present. The judge made notes, then looked up. Very well. Based on the uncontested evidence before me, I find that respondent engaged in deliberate fraud and attempted extortion. Divorce is granted. No spousal support. No property division in respondent's favor. Court costs totaling $7,200 are assessed against the respondent. The gavel came down. Done. Outside, Joel and I walked to my truck while Agnes remained behind with her attorney. Through the parking lot, we saw them having a tense conversation near the courthouse steps. Her attorney handed her a bill, said something firm, and walked away. Agnes sat down on the steps, head in her hands. Joel stopped walking. She looked so broken in there. Did you see her clothes? Nothing like what she used to wear. I saw. Part of me wants to help her. Give her something to get back on her feet. And the other part? The other part remembers her threatening to accuse you of assault, unless you bought her $1 million house. The other part remembers she was never pregnant. The other part knows she would have destroyed our relationship without a second thought. Listen to that part. Compassion is admirable, but protecting yourself from someone who's proven dangerous isn't cruelty. It's wisdom. We drove away. 3 days later, I was in my garage organizing tools when I heard a car pull into my driveway. Not Joel's truck, something older, unfamiliar. I walked out to find Agnes standing beside a borrowed sedan. She looked exhausted, worn down in a way that went beyond clothes or makeup. She was crying before she spoke. I know you have no reason to listen, but I need to say this. I was never pregnant. I lied. I wanted money, a house, a life I saw other people living online. I was jealous, greedy, and stupid. I crossed my arms, listening. I destroyed everything, my job, my friends, my marriage. Joel was good to me, and I threw it away. You wanted to be a grandfather, and I exploited that. I'm so sorry. Is that all? I want to apologize to Joel. Properly. Face to face. Please, I'm asking for just that. A chance to say goodbye with some dignity. That's not my decision to make. If Joel wants to see you, he'll reach out. I won't arrange it. Please, I'm begging you. Agnes, stop. I've heard your apology. I appreciate that you've acknowledged what you did. But an apology doesn't undo the damage or rebuild trust. She wiped her eyes, mascara free and red. You need professional help. A therapist, a counselor, someone who can help you understand why you made these choices. This level of manipulation doesn't come from nowhere. I can't afford therapy. I can barely afford rent. Then find a community health center. They work on sliding scales. But Agnes, you need to do the work. Real work. Not another scheme. Not another shortcut. Honest self-reflection and change. Do you forgive me? Forgiveness isn't mine to give for what you did to Joel. For what you tried to do to me. I don't wish you harm. But I also won't forget. Trust, once broken this completely, doesn't repair. You'll have to live with that. She cried harder. I understand. I hope you find a way forward. But it won't be with this family. Goodbye, Agnes. She drove away. I watched until her car disappeared down the street, then returned to my garage and picked up my wrench. Joel's truck pulled up 20 minutes later. He'd been at work, but came by to drop off some tools he'd borrowed. He saw something in my expression. What happened? I took a breath. Agnes was here. She apologized. Joel went completely still. And I told her goodbye. It's over, Joel. Really over. For the first time in months, Joel's shoulders relaxed completely. Joel sat on my porch steps, processing what I'd told him about Agnes's visit. She actually admitted everything? I nodded. Every lie, every manipulation. She asked to see you, to apologize in person. I told her that was your choice, not mine. Joel was quiet for a long moment. I don't want to see her. I don't need her apology. I just need to move forward. That's when I knew he'd truly healed. The 60-day waiting period expired in mid-January. The final divorce decree arrived in Joel's mail. Official, stamped, permanent. Joel Murphy and Agnes Walters were officially divorced. She'd legally reverted to her maiden name. Joel texted me a photo of the decree with the caption, "It's official." I sent back a single thumbs-up emoji. Agnes disappeared completely after that. No contact, no sightings, no social media presence. She was simply gone from our lives. 6 weeks after the divorce finalized, Joel called me from his dealership parking lot. "Dad, guess what? They promoted me to senior sales manager, $82,000 a year." "Joel, that's fantastic. When did they tell you?" "Just now. Sanders called me into his office, said my numbers have been outstanding, said I've shown real leadership during difficult personal circumstances. He doesn't know the half of what difficult circumstances meant. You earned this. Your work ethic earned this. I'm proud of you." "Thanks, Dad. I couldn't have gotten through any of this without you. You know that, right? We got through it together. That's what family does." The following week, Joel moved into a better apartment, a spacious one-bedroom in Tempe, much closer to my house. Only 15 minutes away instead of 30. I helped him move in, carrying boxes up the stairs, assembling furniture together. We argued good-naturedly about IKEA instruction diagrams. This shelf doesn't look right. Did we put it in backwards? I checked the instructions. Yep, the bracket's facing the wrong way. Joel laughed. Figures. Want to take it apart and redo it? That's what you do when something's wrong. You don't leave it broken, you fix it properly, even if it takes more time. Joel paused, understanding the metaphor. Yeah, you do. We established a Sunday routine over the following months. Joel came to my house and we cooked dinner together while watching football. Sometimes steak, sometimes the chili recipe his mother used to make. We talked about work, life, the future, but rarely about Agnes anymore. She'd become history, not a current presence. One Sunday in late July, Joel set down his knife and looked at me. You know what I realized? I haven't thought about Agnes in 3 days. That's the longest stretch since November. Time helps. Distance helps. Building new memories helps most. Do you think she's doing okay, wherever she is? I hope she's getting help and making better choices. But honestly, Joel, she's no longer our concern. We did what was necessary to protect ourselves. Her recovery is her own responsibility. I guess I still feel guilty sometimes, like I should have tried harder to fix things. You can't fix someone who's determined to break things. You can only protect yourself and move forward, which is exactly what you're doing. In late August, Joel volunteered at a community food bank event. There, he met Sarah Chen, a nurse at Phoenix Children's Hospital. She drove a 10-year-old Honda and talked passionately about her work with pediatric patients. They started dating slowly, carefully. Joel introduced her to me after 6 weeks of dating, much different from his 5-month rush with Agnes. She came to one of our Sunday dinners. She offered to help cook, asked me about my firefighting career with genuine interest, laughed at Joel's jokes without performing. After she left, Joel asked nervously, "So, what did you think of her?" "I think she's genuine. She asked real questions, listened to answers, didn't perform or pretend. We've only been dating 6 weeks. I'm taking it slow this time, learning from mistakes. 6 weeks is good. 6 months is better. A year is even better. There's no rush. She knows about Agnes. Not all the details, but she knows I'm divorced and it was complicated. She didn't push for more information than I wanted to share. That's a good sign. Someone who respects boundaries tends to have healthy ones themselves. I'm not looking to jump into anything serious, but it's nice to just enjoy someone's company without ulterior motives. That's exactly how it should be. I'd spent roughly $7,000 total on Marcus Gray's investigation, on Thomas Ryder's legal fees, on court costs and documentation. Some might say that's expensive for revenge, but it wasn't revenge. It was justice. It was protection. It was ensuring that truth prevailed over manipulation. Every penny was worth it. That Sunday in late August, as Joel and Sarah laughed over a collapsed attempt at homemade pasta, in my kitchen, I realized something. I'd spent months thinking I'd failed by not seeing Agnes's deception sooner. But that wasn't the lesson. The lesson was that I'd succeeded in the most important way. When I finally saw the truth, I acted decisively to protect what mattered. I'm not just a retired firefighter or a potential grandfather. I'm a guardian of my family. And that vigilance, that readiness to act when threats emerge, that's something I'll never retire from. Joel caught my eye across the kitchen and smiled. Sarah asked him a question about his childhood, and he launched into a story about the time we went camping in Sedona, and he was convinced a raccoon was a bear. Life moved forward. The scars remained, but they were healing scars now, evidence of survival rather than active wounds. Agnes had tried to destroy our family for money and status. She'd failed. We'd won not through cruelty or obsession, but through documentation, legal channels, and unwavering commitment to truth. That victory, quiet, legal, permanent, was sweeter than any revenge could have been. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.